Team Digby. This is our Digby presentation over our CAPSIM. My name's Sawyer. We also have Ryan and Caleb, and this is our presentation. For our first year, round one, we finished the year with a sales of $80 million. We also made a profit of around $2 million to almost $3 million, and our stock prices were about $22, $23. And we didn't have an emergency loan this round, but our global share market was around 19%. But in comparison, it was 16.6 industry average as always. And then now here comes Ryan.
So to start off the competition rounds, we decided we were going to go strong. We made educated moves that ultimately ended up being too conservative for our liking, which made us not really do very well compared to other teams, or as good as we wanted to, for sure. We started our production in Germany, which was ultimately also decided by assuming that we had HR coming in to be able to help us to lower the high production costs of being in Germany.
So ultimately what hurt us the most in this first round was that we were the only ones to have our plant in Germany. Whenever we did that, we were thinking that there was going to be low defect rates, there was going to be low shipping costs, low tariffs, and ultimately we'd be able to get the pricing down because of HR. As Ryan said, so there was no HR, our thought process kind of went out the window because our costs will be higher the rest of this entire simulation because of the HR situation. Thankfully, we have been able to figure out ways to still be productive. Our first year was not as productive as we'd like it to be because we were grappling and experimenting with what all this includes with not being able to have HR, but we still, as you were able to see, able to produce a lot of sales and a lot of stock price. I know 2280 doesn't look like a lot, but compared to the other competitors, our stock price went a lot higher. As you'll see later in our board presentation, some of these stock prices never actually got above $1 for other teams. And so we were able to get to 22 in the first year. So that shows that even though we had to deal with some adversity and come up with new ideas and figure out, how does our company going to look now that what we originally planned is going to be different, we were still able to come out with an amazing product. And so that's what we dealt with in year one. And now we're going to go on to year two and see what we can do as we continue different strategies. Thanks.
Okay, so this is our round two, year two report. As you can tell, all of our numbers went down pretty badly. This is because we originally had prepared for HR, and it was when year two came around that we realized we weren't going to get any HR for this simulation. So our sales were about 81, so we lost a couple million. Our profit was 2 million, so we lost a whole million as compared to the round one. And then our stock price dropped from 22 to 14, which is not good at all. And our emergency loan, which we didn't really prepare for, was around 11 million. And our global market share dropped down from 22 to 15. Here's Ryan.
So like Sawyer said, pretty much everything went down other than sales. Sales went up a little bit, but not with the industry. The biggest reason is HR, as stated before, and at this point, this is when we really figured out that we weren't going to get HR, and so our contribution margin, I think, was 22%, which is very low especially compared to everybody else, since everyone else is producing in the USA, they have cheaper labor costs. So all of this is a side effect of that, and we were not planning for not having HR at this point, so we were still experimenting, trying to figure out how to overturn that.
When we look at the biggest factors in this year, we can see easily that emergency loan is not good at all, not acceptable. Stock price lowered, that should never happen. And so although our stock price is still higher than others, we weren't winning, and we weren't pushing forward like we wanted to. Emergency loan was a big part of that because we didn't figure out our production prices as far as our labor costs yet, and so we're still grappling with that and made several mistakes. Another one of those mistakes is that our global market share was only 15.5%. So with that 15.5%, we weren't able to sell as much products in different countries because we didn't have a good global status in every single country. So if we can get that up, we'll be able to sell more, especially if we can start selling more in Germany. Then we'll be able to have a better global market share, because Germany, we don't have to have any tariffs, any shipping costs, or any taxes like that that would alter our costs. So if we focus more on Germany, this is our thoughts going from year 2, learning from this and moving on, is that we'll be able to have more money come in that is just straight profit. So we're going to kind of change up what we did after this year, because clearly it didn't work. What we tried to do from year 1 to year 2 didn't work. Of course, you can imagine after our success previously, the tweets came in, all the hecklers came in and started telling us how we were terrible and how we weren't going to get anywhere, and how, we were losing in the grand scheme of the rat race. So ultimately, we're not going against those competitors. We're not fighting against those competitors. We're ultimately trying to better ourselves every single year. But we did get really tired of the hecklers, and we will figure this out. As we go on to year 3, you'll be able to see how we change things for success, so that we quiet all the haters and be able to come out on top again. Thanks.
Hi again, this is our round 3, year 3 overview. So the HR is still kind of hurt, and this is still in a process of bouncing back from it. But currently, our sales for this looked like 173 million, which was compared to our last round, which was around 81 million. So almost $100 million in sales went up. Then our profit went up from around 2 million to 16, almost 17 million. So we had about 15 million in profit increase. Our stock price went from $14 to 38, which is a huge jump, which was really good, what we were looking for. We still had that emergency loan, which came in around $5 million, which we're still trying to get rid of. Hopefully we'll be able to. But our global market share went up from around 15% to 26 to 27. So that's really good. That's a jump about 12%. And overall, we're improving. So here comes Ryan with the rest of the report.
So yes, as Sawyer said, everything, huge jump this round, round 3. We really got to show our stuff in this round as we finally started to get better with the not having HR situation that we were dealing with. A big part of this is how our sales increased, which also we didn't have near as many sales as we could have. We missed out on I believe 500 units of sale for the U.S. market in this round because we didn't have enough production. We didn't think we were going to have that many sales. So that could have been even higher, which would have improved everything else. Here's Caleb with more.
So as you can see, our improvement with the emergency loan, lower emergency loan, not quite what we wanted to have. We obviously have the goal of no emergency loan. It was frustrating because we took out some long-term debt and we still had this emergency loan debt come up. The plus side of that emergency loan is that the reason why we have it is because of plant improvements. So hopefully our automation going up and our capacity going up, we'll be able to make more in the future. And not just more in the future, which will be great for expanding and going into more countries and being able to have supplies, but also being able to take some of our employees out and then have automation hire so that we don't have to have as many employees operating these systems. Hopefully this will be able to get our employee turnover ratio better, as well as be able to just make more profit. As we looked at the profit margins on our company, they weren't doing so well, and so we had to up the prices and try to figure out ways to cut costs, because our costs versus our total profit was not coming out well. That obviously paid off as our profit was higher and our sales was almost double. Actually, it was more than double, correct my math there. As well as our stock price skyrocketing compared to the last time. That is what we wanted. Emergency loans not what we wanted, but if we look at the global market share, we can see why this happened in the big grand scheme of things. Because when your global market share increases by 10% in 1 year, you tend to be able to sell a lot more, create more revenue, have more profit, increase your stock price, because we're a global company and we're doing well. To think about the fact that in the entire world we hold almost 27% of the share in our specific item, it kind of puts in perspective of how we're able to generate so many sales, and we're going to continue to lower those prices so that those costs, and keep our prices up, so that we'll be able to have more and more profit, which will make our stock price go up and ultimately get rid of all our debt. So on to year 4, see what we can do better.
Welcome back. This is our round 4 simulation. We're on to year 4. In comparison, we're still making a lot of sales, which is good. As opposed to last year, it wasn't that much of an improvement, but it was in a sense. So now I'll explain to you why. Last year's sales, we had about 173 million. This year, as you can tell, we're at almost at 178 million, so that obviously went up. Maybe not as high as we would have liked it to be, but it's still a lot of sales. Our profit went up from around 17 million last round to 17.25, so that's always nice. As far as our stock price goes, last round we were at 38, this round we're at 55, and as you can tell that right now that this is $30 higher than even the nearest competitor. This has a lot to do with because of our growing increase in sales. So our stock obviously went up. Our emergency loan, that also went up, which we weren't really excited about, but we knew it was going to happen because of our plant improvements going on. So it went from 4 million to about 5, almost 6 million. And then from the year before it, we had, for our market share, it went down from 26.7 to 23.1 this year, but that's okay. We're always working to improve, and we will. And here comes Ryan to fill you in with the rest.
So, yes, on top of what he said, we lost $3 million in Germany alone, while we made profit in both China and the U.S. We largely attribute the loss in Germany because of our price-cost ratio being so unequal, and also we got out of the low-tech market during this year in Germany, so we had to pay for the $5.7 million in fixed costs for that still. And then we also nearly maxed out our capacity we only missed our capacity by 1,000 units this year, so our contribution margin was very low and our plant utilization was very high. And here comes Caleb with more.
So as you can see, we kind of maintained the same as year 3, as far as all of our main units of measure of how good we are doing are somewhat similar. The best part is that we are making our costs lower. So we're able to generate more profit every year, which is helping us be able to bring down the costs as we go on in the future years. As we have 4 more years in this competition, we can see that this is really going to benefit us in the last couple rounds. So we're hoping that with the benefits that we've reaped, even though we have an emergency loan, it still is healthy to have some debt, as we paid off some debt last time, which is why we had some emergency loans. So that was a mistake on our part, but we did get rid of some debt. Now we have some more debt to pay off in this next round. So we need to be more consistent about how much money we're putting where. We have started to issue more stock now because our stock price is going up. We're making a lot more money off of our stock. And as we look into the next year, Investopedia has actually projected our stock to break the $100 mark in the next year if we continue our consistency into the next year. So if that happens, we shouldn't have any problems with our emergency loans, because we'll be able to initiate just a little bit more stock and generate a lot more money. Literally double the money by next year if we live into that projection of $100 as our stock price. You can also see the reasons why we lost money in Germany. We need to get those prices up in Germany specifically. We did that, as I said, last round in every country in China and the US. We upped our prices and lowered our costs. The issue was that we lowered our cost in Germany as well as our price. So we need to put that price a little bit back up. The customers were loving it, but at the same time, it reaches a different group of customers if it's a slightly higher priced item, because as we all know, the different pricing points on an item can kind of signify how high class it is or how low class it is. So we want our product to be right in the middle, so that we can give the customer the best product possible for the price, but also so we're not losing money on it, we're making a good amount of money on it. As we continue to have our plant improvements, we'll be able to produce more, make those employees happy with less work, but also lower our costs. Ultimately, we don't not love our employees, but we also really need to lower our costs. And so the more we can put that into machinery and eliminate some of our human resources costs, we'll be able to have a better company, a more profitable company as the years go on. So now we're going to go on into the future.
Welcome to the future. No, I'm just kidding. It's the same thing, but this is about the future. Now, what is Big D going to do? I'll tell you what. Digby will continue to apply appropriate risk management strategies in all of our decisions. And what does that mean? That means we just need to think smart, think with our head, think ahead, and we need to make sure that we're not messing up, and we don't want no more emergency loans. And we just need to be precautious. We need to take the measures, and we need to know what we're doing, and we always need to think ahead, and we need to continue to improve. Ryan.
Yeah, so you talked about needing to make sure we don't get any more emergency loans, and we're going to do that in our finances. So we'll be more sound there, and we'll also be able to provide us with a higher stock price by doing that. Make sure that we can keep a good debt to asset ratio going to make sure we still get them points, even though it should be better to not have so much debt, but we have to issue it every now and then just to make sure that we have that good asset ratio. And here comes Caleb with more.
So obviously, we've been doing a great job at this next point. All the competitors are constantly wondering, what are they doing wrong? And I have to say, if any of them want to watch this, it's not necessarily that they're doing anything wrong. We're just doing everything right. So, we're going to continue to make them question what they're doing wrong. Hopefully, eventually they'll start paying us for our trade secrets, which is kind of illegal, but if no one knows, we'll sell them to them. So, we're going to continue to be great about that and really pushing this organization forward and pioneering our industry for our specific niche. So the last thing is we want to continue to make our employees happy by reducing the workload. Ultimately, we want to make the employees feel loved and cherished, and that's the way we're going to do it, is make sure they're not working overtime, they're not taking time away from their families, and they're getting paid well still. So, as we go into the future, we hope to correct some of our past financial mistakes and our past production mistakes and be able to really help our team skyrocket our sales, stock price, profit, and continue to have high scores on all of our years. So thank you for watching, and we hope you continue to invest in us.